changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your Chicken Soup for the Soul. So let me ask you, are you competing to be the favorite grandparent? Grandparenting is so different these days. The unconditional love and that mutual admiration between grandchildren and grandparents, that's all still the same. But what's different for many families is they are so spread out. Sometimes they live in different countries or in the same country, but hundreds of miles apart. Or the grandchildren need to see multiple sets of grandparents because of divorces. So grandparents have to get creative and travel a lot and use Skype or FaceTime or Zoom or pair up with other grandparents to share events. So Cinda Finland talks about that in a story that I found very amusing. She likens the competition among grandparents to football, where you're always trying to get possession. Cinda says that she and her husband had it easy in the beginning of being grandparents, which was back in 2010. They had the home field advantage then because their first granddaughter lived a mere 3 miles away from them. So they got to see all the firsts. First smile, first rolling over, first steps. And they weren't selfish. When the grandparents from the other side who lived in Canada came to visit, they let those grandparents have uninterrupted time with their granddaughter. Well, after a blissful year of home games, the young family moved to Ontario. So now Cinda was the underdog. She was the one who had to leave the United States and travel to Canada to see her granddaughter. Well, the next grandchild would even be born in Canada. So now it was time for defense as we continue with our football terminology. Cinda and her husband attempted to level the playing field and regain some of their home field advantage by renting a cottage in Canada for the summers. And then in winter, they would cross the border and visit too. And over 5 years, they rented countless houses and hotel rooms. And they always brought amazing toys with them. However, in the annual Christmas tournament, they were always coming from behind. Because with 2 small children, the parents were reluctant to drive from Ontario to Pennsylvania in the winter. So the rival team, the Canadian grandparents who lived only 3 hours away from the young family, had a big advantage. Then the rivals pulled out their best play when they took the children on a 10-day family trip to Europe. That would have been a major rout for Cinda's team, but she and her husband had a comeback plan. They moved to northern New York, just 25 miles from the granddaughters in Canada. They still had to cross the border, but they were way closer now than the other grandparents. And their new house even features a bedroom for the children and an art studio stocked with paper, markers, paints, modeling clay, glitter. All right, so how's it going now for the 2 teams, the opposing teams? Well, Cinda thought they'd have a real shot at Thanksgiving because Canada celebrates it in October. But it turned out that after having one Canadian Thanksgiving dinner in October, the kids didn't really want to have American Thanksgiving with their American grandparents. So then Cinda had to rebound with a sneaky play. Her granddaughters love American Girl dolls, but they weren't going to see the girls until after Christmas. So Cinda declared a new holiday. December 1st would be American Girl Doll Day. On December 1st, she drove her car to the border with the dolls gift wrapped in the back seat. And then she got scolded by the Canadian customs people because she had exceeded the $60 limit on bringing in gifts. But they let her through just that one time. And the girls went crazy over the dolls, so Cinda had a win. She had stolen the ball, if you're willing to call Christmas the ball. In fact, she says she feels like she won the Super Bowl, but there's always another year and another championship, and she'll have to keep training and making good plays so that she doesn't remain the underdog. Loretta Shun discovered another way that a grandma can be very competitive. She learned about a grandmother's role the evening that her mother gave Loretta's 5-year-old daughter a bath. After the sounds of the bath stopped, Loretta heard what seemed to be a serious whispered conversation between her mother and her daughter. After bath time, her mom came out to the kitchen and she told Loretta that she and Francesca had had a talk. And then she told Loretta, "I just want you to know that everything is all right." "What do you mean everything is all right? I didn't know anything was wrong," said Loretta. "No, it's all good. She just needed to talk," her mom said with the confidence of a grandma. Well, Loretta's mother refused to tell her what she had discussed with little Francesca, other than that everything was okay. Well, they had been through a lot in Francesca's first 5 years of life, with her grandmother and her father both having cancer and her father losing his job. And Loretta had worried about all the stress that little girl was living through. So maybe she didn't want to talk about it with her parents and only with her grandmother. Loretta asked her mom, why couldn't she ask me? And her mother replied that she had asked Francesca the very same question, and the little girl had said, I know my mom and dad love me, but their job is to decide if I am doing right or wrong. You, Nana, just need to love me. It's been 32 years now, and Loretta is now looking forward to being that keeper of secrets for her grandsons. Because, as she says, a grandparent's job is not to judge, but to simply love. I'm Amy Newmark. Thanks for listening today. If you want to learn more about our new books and everything else that's happening at Chicken Soup for the Soul, join the more than 2 million people who follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or X, formerly known as Twitter, or just go to our website, chickensoup.com. Now, the stories I talked about today are found in our most recent book, which is called Chicken Soup for the Soul, Young at Heart. And this book covers a little bit of everything, but the basic theme is dynamic aging, getting older gracefully, still having a lot of fun and adventure. So if you'd like to learn more about this new Young at Heart book, you can look at it on our website, and you will find the book at Walmart, Kroger, Meijer, other big stores, plus your local Barnes & Noble or independent bookstore. And of course, you can find it on Amazon. And please come back for our next episode with more stories about dynamic aging and an episode called Going Gray and Hitting the Road.